Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 32 of the Memorial Memo, KSR's Kentucky Women's Basketball Podcast. Now, as you all see, it's just me here today. Katie's not here with us right now. Just solo dolo today, but there's plenty of news to help us kind of get going. In fact, we got some news kind of right before the show started. Steven, we'll just leave it on this graphic because I didn't get one ready because I didn't know we'd need one. For 2027 five-star guard Sydney Savory, she just visited Kentucky, posted some visit photos. It's on my Twitter. It's on her social medias. Sydney Savory, super talented. We'll talk about her more because we're going to talk about the Run for Roses Classic. It's coming up. Just uber talented, right? When Kentucky offered her last July, I think she was tabbed as a 3-star recruit. And now she's the number 15 kid in the 2027 class. She's a 5-star now. Like, Kentucky has been invested in Sydney's recruitment for a while. You know, they got in on her early, and it's paying off. You know, she's visiting Kentucky. I talked to her when she was originally offered. She wanted to visit Kentucky at the time. I don't know if she's visited multiple times. I don't know if she got to around, because I think she said she wanted to visit last fall. I don't know if she got around to it because there's a lot of stuff going on, obviously. But she's, if she isn't a multi-time visitor, she's visiting now. And so that's good to see. But, averaging 25.6 points per game on the Nike EYBL circuit. That's, most prolific scorer on the circuit. Just absolutely balling out, doing her thing. But yeah, Sydney Savory visiting Kentucky. Again, I didn't quite know what was happening until Sydney posted the photos, but looks like it went good. It's obviously, I don't have the picture of the graphic for the podcast, but like I said, it's on my social media. It's on hers. It looks like they are doing the visit somewhere not like new, but like in a new spot in Memorial or in Joecraft, because like there's like this really beautiful like Kentucky backdrop that they just didn't have in photos before. So that's interesting. But yeah, it's obviously, you get a kid of that talent on campus, you definitely can't go wrong there. But some scheduling news that kind of happened throughout this week. I was kind of told there would be some scheduling news dropping. I didn't know what to expect, but Kentucky is going to head down to Puerto Rico to take on Maryland and Morgan State in the Discover Puerto Rico shootout. Now, Maryland is a team that, they're going to be, they're number 24, 23 and on threes preseason top 25. I think that's about where they'll be when the rankings come out. Maryland, they got Yarden Garzon, who Kentucky recruited this transfer portal season. They, Brenda Freeze, national champion coach at Maryland. That's, Maryland they've been one of the premier programs for the last 2 decades in women's basketball, and that's going to be a really interesting game to see. And then Morgan State, they're not great. Kind of like the rest of Kentucky's non-conference. Like Morgan's, like they went 13-17 last year. There's not really much to say there. They have one postseason appearance like ever, other than like their conference tournament. Like they've never made the NCAA tournament, and they've only made the NIT once, and they lost in the first round to Virginia. I think that was 2011. Like, not much to say about Morgan State, but that Maryland game, neutral site down in Puerto Rico, that should definitely be an interesting one that I'm looking forward to, because Maryland, like, as Matt G said, Morgan State's just happy to be there. And there's some other good teams that are down there. Like Wake Forest is down there. Some good teams, but Kentucky, they draw those two. That game against Maryland will be on November 26th, and then the game against Morgan State on the 28th. So Kentucky gets a 1-day break there. Feels like the non-conference schedule's pretty much coming to a close. I think there's like a couple more games that they'll announce. From what I know, I think there may be some away games for Kentucky, which is interesting. So we'll see how that shapes out. But yeah, Maryland, like, I'm super excited for that one. Kentucky and Maryland, it feels like they're going to be kind of about equal as far as like how good they'll be heading into the season. So on a neutral court like that, very early in the season, it'll be interesting to see kind of where Kentucky is. Now, those are kind of the newsy things as we open the episode, but I want to talk about some summer practice intel, the kind of the juicy stuff that everyone is here for, because I had the great privilege to go watch some workouts, and my immediate I have some immediate takeaways just from what I saw. I've talked to people who've been to practices, people who are kind of in and out of the Joe Craft Center, if you will. So this intel that I'm sharing, it's based off, you know, my observations. It's based off other people's it's kind of like a collective thing. I didn't want it to kind of just be, all right, to kind of be, you know, what's really happening, right? So I will say this intel went up on KS board a few days ago. Whenever I was in there, so subscribe to KS board, KSR Plus if you aren't, because if you're there, first come first serve kind of thing, right? Like if you're in there, you already knew this stuff, but I'm gonna get kind of more into it here. So for me, the first thing that, and maybe the most important thing that I saw was Tony Morgan. And, for me, watching Tony Morgan, I was almost like in awe. And it's not because like she's, it's not like she does some, like Georgia Amore would amaze you in a way that's like, how in the world did she just do that? But I almost was amazed by Tony Morgan just because of like the way she conducts herself. Like when I watched Tony Morgan, you could see that like in her eyes, like she is laser focused. Like she is coming to Kentucky with a purpose, like with a mission, and that's to become a WNBA caliber point guard. Is she already there? I don't know, but she's definitely looking to make that a certain thing this year. Her 3-point shot is something that people have questioned, right? She's a career like 23% 3-point shooter. I think it's fair to be skeptical of that, but from what I've seen, the jumper looks like it's improving. Now, obviously, you kind of have to wait till actual game time to see how that jumper's looking. That's you make them all in practice, but when you get to the games, that's when it really counts. But super. I mean, she's super impressive. Tony Morgan. There's you can't just replace Georgia Amore, but I feel like Tony Morgan is the next best thing. She was ranked as the third best point guard in the portal behind Olivia Miles, who was a projected top 3 draft pick, and then Malaysia Fulwale, who has been a star at South Carolina, now at LSU. So it's kind of hard to be like, she's 100% the starting point guard. It sounds like she's going to play 30, 35 minutes a game, kind of to be expected. But Tony Morgan just really impressed with her. Uh, it's like I said, you can just see like the laser focus like it sounds corny almost to say, but like you can just, you know what I mean? You can just tell when someone is focused and not like goofing off. Now, I'm not saying all the other players are goofing off, but Tony Morgan, you can just tell she's here and she means business. I can definitely see an all SEC kind of season from her. Last season, Jordan Obi and Dom Perova were both hurt, and they, I think, could be two of Kentucky's like biggest pieces heading into this season. Jordan Obi is super impressive. She, from the film I've seen of her, she is a lot leaner, looking stronger. I feel like she's a tad bit quicker than she used to be when she was at Penn. As one person told me, Jordan Obi is incredibly impressive. And someone else I spoke to compared her to Ryan Howard physically, which I can see, right? Of course, Ryan's a little bit taller, but physically you can kind of see it. She's just looking to take that next step, and her jumper looks good. But to me, it's her athleticism that looks like it kind of took that next step from, all right, playing in Penn, the Ivy League. Well, now you're, in the SEC. I feel like she kind of took that step. Dom Peralta, she's added 7 to 8 pounds of muscle from what from what I've been told. I don't know. I didn't get to see her work out, but I talked to the staff a little bit. They absolutely love her. She, she might be the most fun personality on the team. I was around her. I didn't get to watch her work out, but I was around her a little bit. she's super fun. I mean, she's always cracking jokes, things of that nature. Dom Perova, she she is just a fun character. Like everyone gets along with her. One person told me like she's the model of a perfect teammate, right? And and besides the chemistry part of it, like she is super hardworking, willing to learn, and it's like we've said numerous times on this podcast, like she's a great shooter, sixth man on the Elite Eight team at Oregon State, right? Like you can't really complain about that. Kaylin Carroll, Kentucky's well, not lone freshman because Elsa Vadfors, uh, technically also a freshman. Which, by the way, I've been told Elsa Vadfors is supposed to get here. Uh, I was told July. It's July. Um, we'll see how that goes. It's very similar to the Yelovich situation on the men's side. I wasn't told this directly, but just kind of like it seems like there's the whole immigration thing. It's above my head. I really don't know. All I know is that she's not here yet, neither is Yelovich, right? So we'll kind of just see how that goes. I would just kind of monitor it a little bit, but I think Matt Jones, I think you mentioned on the KSR radio show one day, is like, maybe it's a good idea if we don't make a big deal out of these things. So I'm just going to kind of let UK and whoever handle that. And when Yelovich and Vedfors get here, they get here. I don't really know what else to say beyond that. But Kaylin Carroll, she is going to be special, y'all. Now, I don't know how much we'll see of her this season, but first of all, when Kentucky started recruiting Kaylin Carroll, she was like 6'1". She's now like 6'5". I mean, like that is an insane growth spurt over the course of like a year ish. Like Kaylin Carroll is almost as tall as Claire Strack. Like seriously, there's a photo UK released, and they're almost like eye to eye. It's insane. But other than the physical stuff, um, she kind of like Perova, just a great personality, great kid. Like you can tell, like she committed to the right school. You know what I mean? Like you can tell she loves being at UK. She's always smiling. Uh, she like genuinely when Kaylin Carroll walks into a room, like you can just feel the energy just like get better. She's a great culture fit, for sure. It's just an absolutely great kid from all accounts, and looks like her shots improving. Kenny tweaked like everyone's shots. I don't know how well known that is. I don't know if it really even is at all. But he was telling me like, yeah, because I saw him working with Tiani Key specifically. I was like, "Did you change her shot?" And Kenny was like, "I tweaked all their shots, man, to some degree, and it worked last year with Georgia Amore, so that should be interesting." But Kaylin Carroll, just a like I said, tremendous kid, but also looks like she's going to be quite the stud, especially if she just grows to be 7 foot tall, then hey, she's 7 foot tall. Amelia Hassett, just a much more confident, right? I don't want to say she was like skittish or anything last year, but she just looks much more comfortable and confident this year for whatever reason, whether it's that extra year of experience she has, or just Kenny speaking to her or what. Amelia just looks a lot more confident. I was really impressed with her specifically. Just her shooting looks great. She's going to compete for a starting role, right? Like it's hard to kind of say, like I feel like you have 4 of the 5 starters kind of nailed down between Tony Morgan, Claire Strack, Tiani Key, and Jordan Obi. Like it feels like those 4 are pretty solid. It's just a matter of who's that 5th piece, and that could definitely be someone like Amelia Hassett. I feel like at worst she's the 6th or 7th man on this team because she's just improved so much. It looks like the staff really raved about how this is a deeper rotation, about how they got deeper from last year. Like they had pieces last year, but they have more quality pieces this year, right? And you replace some of the talent that left with significantly better talent, and the staff, from what I've kind of picked up, it sounds like they genuinely think they can run 8, 9, 10 player rotation. And that's really exciting because last year it was a 5 to 6 player at most seventh player rotation, and they genuinely seem to think that they can run 8, 9, 10 players in the rotation this year, which that's obviously never really going to be a bad thing. Asia Boone, ladies and gentlemen, you want to talk about something that like people always want to know who's the best shooter. Who's it going to be? I think it's going to be Asia Boone. Um, I think she's your best shooter. She just does not miss. Kind of like Perova and Caitlin Carroll, the staff is just super excited about her. Um, she, she can play both guard spots. She, great combo guard, but she is just going to absolutely light it up, tear it up from deep. That's going to be her role. She, I think she's kind of viewed as a depth backcourt piece, like backup Tony is the point guard, play some minutes at the two, but I personally feel like she's good enough to compete for a starting spot, at that shooting guard position. Well, it's just a matter of it's kind of like a position battle going on this summer. It's just a matter of what happens there. But Asia Boone, I feel like she is the best shooter on the team. I'm not going to say it's not close, but I feel like she is just it. Like I said, she just does not miss. And her foot injury that she suffered against Kentucky in the NCAA tournament, that's a thing of the past. Like that's no more. I asked about it and I saw it with my own eyes. Like she looks great. Everyone is healthy right now. Thank God. Let's hope it stays that way through the summer. But Asia Boone is among those healthy players, and she is, 100% and definitely looks like that. Josie Gilvin, you can tell she's an in-state kid. She loves it here. Another great culture fit, but she is so versatile, man. Like you didn't really get too much of a look at like the defensive stuff because it was individual workouts, but like she is tremendous too. Tremendous shooter, great defensive player. I've talked about it a lot. I feel like she is kind of one of the more underrated players that Kentucky has, on this team. I personally, you've heard me and Katie talk about it. I feel like Josie's going to start at the two. That's just kind of what my gut says. We'll see. But regardless, tremendous player. I'm going to be very excited to see what she does. Lexi Blue has also grown, kind of like Kaylin Carroll, except she's only grown maybe an inch or so. But she's gotten taller. I know, just speaking from my perspective, I am a very solid 6'1", according to a probably not so accurate measurement. I don't know. I've been told I'm 6'1". We're gonna roll with it. Lexi Blue has always been a little bit taller than I am, so maybe I'm like 6 foot, right, somewhere around there. But now she's like a lot taller than me. Now, I mean, not like Clara Strack taller than me, but she's taller than me. Like it's not. You know what I mean? You could look at us from a distance and be like, okay, Lexi's definitely taller. So that's obviously good to see. Her development, it's kind of been steady. Like it's been like I think a lot of people are, she didn't have the biggest role on last year's team. Maybe not as big as a role as some of us expected. And so I've had some people ask, like, how do you feel about Lexi Blue? Her development? It's been steady, and that's not to say like, it's not to say like she's not coming along. Like she is, but it's like she's progressing kind of like maybe you would expect a freshman to be like other than your Sarah Strongs and your Juju Watkins and your top 5 kids, a lot of these freshmen, they're just going to take some time to develop. Kaylin Carroll is going to take some time to develop. Whenever Elsa Vadfors gets here, she's going to take some time to develop, right? Like these kids, they're not going to come in and be immediate superstars again unless their name is Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, or whatever. Like a lot of those top 5, 10 kids, like Madden Greenway and Savvy Swords, they might come in and be immediate stars. They may not, right? Like sometimes freshmen, they need a second to develop, But I think the staff, they're super confident about her. I watched her workout. Shot looks just, as good as it ever did. So that's exciting. Clara Strack, same old Clara Strack, right? And normally I feel like you hear that kind of thing and you're like, oh, well, she hasn't gotten that much better. But she was the reigning SEC Defensive Player of the Year. she like it's one of those things where like she's taken a step up. It looks like people I've talked to have said like her outside jumper has gotten a lot better from what I've heard and from the little bit that I saw. But like it's pretty clear like Clara Strack is kind of your backbone of the team. Like she's going to be your best player, and that's kind like it's pretty much just as simple as that, right? Uh, yeah, like I said, Elsa Vadfors, like she's supposed to back up Strack. We'll see if she even gets here, first of all, right? Like I think she will, but I don't know. That whole like idea is funny to me. But I don't expect her to play more than like 5-10 minutes a game. So Strack's got a big load to carry, but she did it last year, and she has an extra year of experience to work with. Like I said, Kenny Brooks has tweaked all their shots, and I wanted to point this out because I wrote it down here. Top to bottom, like literally everyone tweaked all their shots. And when I asked him about it, and he came up to me, first thing he said was, "Phoenix, write this down. We're gonna hit more threes this year." Now I feel like that alone is exciting enough. Like Kenny walks up and he's like, "Hey, we're gonna hit more threes this year." Well, I didn't realize, and Kenny didn't even know this either until we did some research. Kentucky was 1 3-pointer shy of the program record last year. In 2020, they hit 252. Last year, they hit 251. One shy of the program record, right? And so he's talking about how we're going to hit more threes. I mean, that's a record-setting year, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to be fun to watch. So I thought that was really cool. Like I said, a handful of games still to be released. It sounds like to me those are away games, but I could be wrong. I think those are away games. But again, we'll see. Coach Red, I put it on my Twitter, but she put it on her Instagram, and I reported on KSR Plus when I did this big thread. I don't know who all is overseas, but I know at least Coach Red is. I don't know if Coach Brooks is or not, but they're doing some recruiting overseas. Their first stop was Spain. From what I know, they're about to hit Lithuania to do some recruiting, and then they're going to go to Czechia to check out Madden Greenway and Team USA, who we're going to talk about a little bit later on, to see them. But there's also Sydney Douglas, 2028, number 2 player in that class. She's playing for the under 19 team, so they're going to go get a look at her too, I imagine. Something that I say the biggest takeaway from kind of the summer practice and everything, the thing that people like on the message board like the most, the culture around the program, right? And I feel like a lot of people have questioned it because of the whole Cassidy thing, and they're like, is you talk to Virginia Tech fans, they think Kenny is the worst human on the planet, right? I'm not just saying this. Well, first of all, I have basically no reason to sit here and like be a Kenny defender. Like I have no reason to be a Kenny Brooks suck up, if you will, right? Like that's not my job. I'm a fan of the team. I'm a fan of him. I'll freely admit it, but I have no reason to be a suck up. So whenever people say like, "Oh, you're just defending the team. You need access. You need," shut up. Like no, like I'm doing my job. Leave me alone, right? But my point in saying all that crap was that I'm not just saying this, but the culture around Kentucky women's basketball, Kenny Brooks' culture, it's the best sports culture I've ever seen around a team. And I have been around sports my whole life. I'm in coaches' families. I've been in locker rooms at various levels. I played sports. I've watched sports. Like I said, I've seen, different kinds of sports, different locker rooms, genuinely the culture around Kentucky women's basketball is something to, it's special. In a way, I put this on the message board, not in the same way that the men's team is, because that's kind of the whole thing with Mark Pope and Kentucky, but like they care, like there is a whole, like there is a very real energy in the gym about playing for the name on the front of the jersey, right? Like just because they aren't in-state kids besides Josie Gilvin, like they love this place. They love Kentucky. I mean, you see it through their community work all the time. Like they love this place. They love everything about it. There's a reason why Deja Lawrence didn't immediately skip out of town after after her career ended, right? Um, like the vibes are just all time high, especially after getting that commitment from Savvy Swords. Like the culture, the vibes, everything is just elite. I was told by someone, and I thought this was great. Like a lot of teams, they have these like manufactured like team bonding experiences. They don't even have those. Why? Because they kind of just do it on their own. Like they'll just go to the movies or go to Kenny's house or do whatever, kind of all just on their own. So they don't even have to have these manufactured uh team bonding experiences and such. Like it's so hard to explain, you know, no. Before my KSR days, I covered men's basketball and football for a different outlet, and I was in those locker rooms a little bit. Like the culture for Kentucky women's basketball right now is the best culture I've ever seen in sports, and that's just coming me. Like obviously, I think Mark Pope's culture is probably right there with it, but I personally haven't seen that other than like what everyone else has seen. But it's good stuff. Like the main gist of the whole intel from the summer practices, like everyone is working hard. Everyone is excited to be here. Um, it looks like everyone is really improved. There isn't really anyone that's out here just kind of looking like, crap. Um, it's just exciting stuff. I cannot wait for the season. There's an open practice coming up, which will be more like team oriented. That'll be fun, but I just can't wait to get things rolling there. Now, before we get to the season, we got summer to get through, and we have specifically this weekend to get through. Nike EYBL Session 3. Uh, there's a site in Louisville. There's a site in Las Vegas. Now, obviously, it's a lot easier for me to get to Louisville, so I'm going to go to the Louisville session, also known as the Run for Roses Classic. It's one of the biggest exposure events in the world for women's basketball players. Big, massive recruiting weekend for coaches. There's 7 total, from what I've counted and what I can figure out, 7 total Kentucky targets that will be there. There's 6 main ones that we're about to dig into. First and foremost, you have Olivia Vukosa in the 2026 class, who, kind of the final touch on the 2026 class, possibly. I think like UConn is a pretty big threat in her recruitment, but she plays for Philly Rise alongside Jordan Palmer in the 27 class, averaging 8.1 rebounds per game. That should be exciting to see. But between her, Mimi Thiero, or Thiero, Adu's little sister, or not so little because she's like 6'5" too, like she'll be there, and then Whitley Rogers, who they offered not too long ago, playing for Tennessee Flight. Of course, you can see the graphics on the screen. You got 5-star in Vakusa, 2 4-stars in Thiero and Rogers in the 2026 class. So that should be fun to see. I'll do my best to talk to them all. I'll be up there for 3 days. It's like a 4 or 5 day event. So I'll do my best to talk to all of them, see what they have to say about Kentucky, and see where the Cats stand, and just watch their game a little bit. In the 2027 class, like I said, there's Jordan Palmer, also plays for Philly Rise alongside Vukosa. Sydney Savory, who, like I said, we just talked about her. Just took the visit to UK. She plays for Michigan Crossover, averaging 25.6 points per game. Just absolutely killing it. And then DeAndre Minor, who plays for Pro Skills, elite. She one of the top point guards in the 27 class. So that'll be interesting to see too. Overall, it should be a fun weekend. The one recruit that's not on here, on our graphic, 2028 recruit Aaron Thomas, who Kentucky just offered like a week or two ago, basically. she's also going to be at the event. And there's several in-state targets, but those are like the 6 main ones that I'll be keeping an eye on to see how they do. Some of them, some of them will play against each other. Like that'll be really fun. Like on Friday when I get there at night, Philly Rods, which of course is Vukosa and Palmer, take on Sydney Savory and Michigan crossover. You best believe probably almost every single eyeball in that gym is going to be on that game specifically. But that should certainly be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to getting some eyes on hopefully some future cats. Last year, I had pretty good luck hitting on Madden Greenway and Kaylin Carroll last year at Run for Roses. So hopefully we get a couple of cats this time around too. And then kind of just to end the episode, we'll hit on Madden Greenway talking Team USA, Madden Greenway, heading to Czechia for the FIBA U19 World Cup. They play starting on the 12th and ends on the 20th. I'm excited for this. It gives me a chance to, we just had 4th of July. It brings out the patriotism in me. And it's especially nice whenever future Kentucky players like Madden Greenway are doing it too. And hopefully, Sydney Douglas in the 2028 class, hopefully she's a cat too, because she's really good. Number 2 player in that class. But best of luck, Team USA. You've got my salute. If that's not a proper salute, I am sorry. I'm not in the military. But we're going to go ahead and round out this episode here. We got 30 minutes of me doing solo. I think that's pretty solid. YouTube channel, as you all see in the bottom left here, 50,000 subscribers. Thank you all so much for getting the KSR YouTube channel to 50,000 subscribers. It's a goal that we've been pushing for a while. You guys helped us get there. We appreciate that so much. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. We are, why stop at 50,000, right? Let's go for, I don't want to sound like LeBron James when he got to Miami, but, when he was like, not 1, not 2, but, just keep pushing, maybe we can get to 100,000, something ridiculous. Get us to 1 million. Give us one of those like gold play buttons that they have or whatever. Regardless, thank you all so much for 50,000. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And thank you all for tuning in to episode 32 of the Memorial Memo. Next episode should be exciting. We'll kind of be recapping Run for Roses. Should have a special guest on, so that should be fun. This has been Phoenix Stevens, just me by myself here today. Episode 32 of the Memorial Memo. We will see you guys next time.